And now, Deep Thoughts with Blossoming Sun and Jess Plan.
What do you have to be in order to be a game designer?
What?
Level-headed.
Do you agree with that statement?
Well, I mean, not really. I think you gotta be wackadoodle.
Oh, thank you.
You gotta have a vision.
A vision? Yeah,
Visionary.
You're not wrong. Hi, I'm Blossoming Sun.
Hi, I'm Just Plain.
I'm a visionary and a wackadoodle, apparently.
Oh my god, have you seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place? Now we're already off on a tangent.
Wait, have I seen what?
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
No, those are all words that I've never searched.
It's a British show that kind of makes fun of Stephen King, but he's like, I'm Garth Marenghi. I'm a visionary.
Oh my god.
That's how I want us to just start off this podcast forever after. Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a legend, a visionary.
Hello. I'm Blossoming Sun, the personification of the 100 emoji. I'm like way too obsessed with that show. You don't even understand. Like,
I'm gonna rip off my mask at some point and just be like, I was Lady Gaga the whole time.
Oh my god, it's just. I'm referring to the thing that I just referenced, which is a very rare thing for me to be able to reference TV shows. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a great show. Oh my god,
it is. Andy Samberg is the love of my life.
He's so great, and oh my god, it's just great. It's just wonderful. It's a fantastic show, and I have been binging it. And I don't normally binge TV shows, but it is so good. It is. I love it. Now I do limit myself so that I don't get like oversaturated on it. I limit it to 3 episodes a day, but that's only an hour. That's like nothing now. Like an hour is like, that's a typical Netflix episode now. So
yeah, you're looking at like an hour for almost anything.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
They dragging that stuff out.
I enjoy it.
But today
we're going to
be talking about indie games.
Yeah, we're talking about indie games, not TV shows. Eventually we'll get to that. But today we're going to talk about our favorite indie games and indie games that we don't think the other person has heard of, which was a huge challenge for me just now because Jess and I have very similar tastes. So hopefully you've probably heard of you've probably heard of one because it won some awards. But that's it.
I'm going to probably just say you've heard all of them because I lowball. That way I can be surprised.
Aww. All right. What if I don't know any of them? What if I pretend to not know any of them?
And that's just lying. Okay. And that's not good for friendship. Right. How can I ever trust you again?
Oh my god.
I'm going to be watching your stream. Suddenly you're going to be like, oh yeah, this game, blah, 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 I played that yet. And I'm going to be like,
bitch,
this is over. Episode 5, this is over. All right.
Womp womp.
So, do you want to go first?
Yes.
After
I'll
you.
Go first. So, do you want to talk about favorite games first? And then we'll do the ones that are like maybe
that sounds
the
good.
Other person doesn't know. Okay. All right. So
I like that, we just talk about this during the podcast. This is extremely engaging.
No, it's great. It's great. I think it's perfect. I think it's wonderful. So, first of all, I'd just like to say Jess and I do have similar tastes. We both kind of enjoy creepy video games. And we both enjoy like very story-oriented ones. So
yeah.
I particularly love what people now call walking simulators. I don't like to call them that.
It's the only exercise I get.
Beneath me. Okay. So I call them narrative exploration games. Okay. That's what I'm here for. I am here for narrative and exploration. So not my absolute favorite, because I don't really have a scoring system for indie games. I just kind of have like my favorite game, and then everything else that I enjoy is kind of right around that same level of enjoyment. So first indie game that I really fell in love with was Dear Esther, which is like the pioneer of narrative exploration. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's different every time if you don't know that. If you've never heard of Dear Esther, it's essentially this made-up island that this man is walking around. You are the man, and you're walking along this made-up island.
I am. Thank you.
And there you go. Jess is the man. She is. She's the man. And you just listen to his poetic, like, ramblings, and there is a story that goes along with it, and there is an ending. Like, you can end the game, you just kind of walk through, but you get to choose your own path on where you walk to, and what do you explore, and how far do you explore, and then you can go on to the next section, and the next, and the next. So there's 5 different areas for you to explore, and as you walk around, you get to hear different stories. And it's got a lot of RNG in it. A lot of people don't know that because they just play it once and they're like, oh, okay, whatever. But when you restart the game, the man actually talks about different things and tells you different stories. And you get to learn a little bit more about him each time. And then there's all these different things that can actually populate in the world. They have different percentages and possibility and probabilities of like populating in the world. So it gives you a different feel each time, which I think is like the dopest. And it made
rare.
It's very
in walking sims.
It's very cool, and it made me make video games. So thanks, dear Esther, for pushing me to make some video games. So now I've made 7 video games, but they're all
heck yeah.
They're all like
lucky number.
That's my favorite number. Oh, but now I can never make any more unless I get to 69. I'd have to, if once I've made 8, and then I got to go all the way to 69. So.
Exactly, and then you got to get to 420 after that. It never ends.
I think if I made 69 games, I'd just end it at that. I think I'd be done.
You would be like, I'm done. This is a game about me just crying in a corner.
Yeah, there you go.
But I like this. I do like Dear Esther a lot. I think it's really, really good. It feels like you're walking around a Bronte novel, but also it has replayability, which is something that walking sims I think rarely have.
Yeah, because they're so heavily reliant on story. It's like, once you've found everything, there's really nothing else.
Then you're done.
But yeah, there's different...
And you're listening to the same story.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like, am I going to be listening to the same story? Am I going to have elements? What's going to appear here?
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice.
There's different things that populate in the houses, different, and it's really interesting because I'm just going to like talk about it for a second. It has different stories, so the audio is always different, but it also has these different images that populate in the rooms in the houses. And sometimes you get these different ones where there's pregnancy tests and things like that. And so this man is essentially like crying over his lost love that died in a car accident. And she is insinuated in certain circumstances in the game to have been pregnant, but you don't always get those insinuations unless those things populate in the world. So it's always a different sort of atmosphere. And there's even there's this part where you fall into some water and you actually see the scene of the car accident. You see the car on the side of the road. And it's very dreamlike and everything. But sometimes that scene doesn't populate. It will load instead a hospital bed. And so it's like really interesting that the whole thing can be different. And it can have a completely different feel. And it was just like, it's the very first one. It's always interesting to see the pioneer of a genre. I would happily play a lot of retro games just because we'll talk about full motion video games later in the year, but man, Night Trap, fucking, there's just some great...
my god, Night Trap's the love of my life.
There's just some really great games that came out when there wasn't anything that came out like it before, so it's just dope. It's dope to see that and see what they essentially fathered or mothered in a sort of way. So that's my first one. My second one is much more happy and upbeat and lighthearted. It's about zombies. It's called 7 Days to Die because I love zombies and I love killing zombies and I love murdering zombies, even though they need equal rights. If you're going to hire them to work for cheap labor, they should have rights. But 7 Days to Die is, okay, Jess, are you an MMO person?
No.
Okay. So
I'm an no person.
Oh! Oh, that was good.
There's too much. I get really I know I hide it, but I get really like anxious and stressed out about things, and
Oh,
sometimes MMOs just
no.
inundate me with all these things of like, do this side quest, do this other thing, do this other thing, and
Yeah.
instead of losing myself in the world, I tend to start getting
You
like
start to
completionist mode,
yeah. See, I
where
think
I'm like,
that's
I
the
need to get all this stuff done.
Yep, yep. That's the same way I am. So instead of enjoying the experience, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much left to
Making
do.
to-do lists,
Exactly.
like
So,
getting a bullet journal just for my video game, like
oh
that's
God,
not.
that's not something you need in your life. 7 Days to Die, though, is so that's why I'm not an MMO person. I think that I really enjoy playing with my friends, but I do not like focusing on quests. I enjoy it in the sense of Diablo because I know that there's not going to be any quests. Like, they tell you in Diablo, they give you the whole quest book, so you know how many quests there are going to be in each world. So you know how many there are. It's not a surprise. You're not like
Yeah.
having to talk to different people each time to get a bunch of side quests. There's no such thing like that. So Diablo was very enjoyable for me, but MMOs just have too much going on there. And I feel like when you're hanging out with your friends, you just want to hang out with your friends and play a game. Like, you don't
Yeah.
want to have to be talking about the game all the time. You just want to hang out with them and catch up with them. At least that is the case for me, being an adult. That's why I don't like MMOs. Because I just want to talk to my friends while I'm playing a video game with them, because otherwise I don't get to really talk to them during the day. So, 7 Days to Die is essentially a survival game where you build a base with your friends, and every 7 days, every seventh day, there is waves of zombies that come. And so it's kind of like a tower defense survival action game, because you have to go and loot cities and build a base and build some traps and things like that. So there's a lot of creativity in it. It's very much like Minecraft, where you can dig and gain resources and then build things, create recipes and shit like that. But then you
Yeah.
also have like this cool, oh, every seventh day some shit's gonna go down. And it gets progressively harder every seventh day. And there's vehicles in the game, there's traders in the game that you can go to, and you can like get quests from them, or you can go and buy better items from them. It's just a really cool game. And there's a good single player mode too. So I will say, the other day, everyone on my channel for my stream was asking me what is the most popular type of game that I play, and it's definitely survival games. 100%. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours in survival games, and it's just
See,
because
I'd be
they're enjoyable.
the next time you stream it, when there's a wave of zombies, I'm gonna go into your chat and say it's really dead in here today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I want you to do that, please. And then I'll put some sort of sound effect in there for you. It'll
Like just
like
a
a
rim
laugh,
shot
like a
or a
laugh,
womp womp.
a laugh track.
I would be happy to have a laugh track. That would boost my confidence tremendously. That's how the Big Bang Theory has survived for 11
Oh
seasons.
my
Clearly I
God.
need it.
We'll talk about TV shows another day, because, bitch, that is a terrible TV show. Ooh,
Oh, it
I hate
is.
it. Ooh.
I'm glad it's going to be Bazinga.
My,
Like, and then the fact that young Sheldon spawned from it, like the devil's
God.
child, like, oh, good. Anyway,
So
we'll talk about that
terrible.
later, but
The devil's child is right, though. I feel you on that in so many levels. So
yeah.
I love 7 Days to Die. I highly recommend it to anyone that enjoys survival games and likes to play with their friends, because there's just so much for different people to do. Like, you can have a couple people go out and loot cities, and then you can have a couple people building up the base and making it look dope and building traps around it and things like that. You can go and have
Yeah.
people go and collect quests for everyone so that you can gain more experience. So it's just dope. And there's a character trait you can level up called Sexual Tyrannosaurus. What more can you want from a video game? Nothing. You can want for nothing. There's
Is
even
that an indie band?
a Sexual
Sexual
Tyrannosaurus?
Tyrannosaurus?
No, that's from Borderlands. That's where it's from. It's a reference to
I
Borderlands,
forgot.
which is
There's so many things in Borderlands.
the only references I can fucking get are video game ones. So I will take what I can get, friends. Okay,
Well,
take what I can get.
Sad because I will stand in the middle of my living room and just look at Shitoken and go, check me out, I'm dancing glad drop on a regular basis, so that I didn't get that reference. So I'm going to cry tonight. It's fine. Oh. No big deal. No big deal.
So my third that I have chosen is kind of like Dear Esther, but just like the culmination of everything that is great about explorative narration. And it's What Remains of Edith Finch. And it is a fairly newer game. What Remains of Edith Finch is not just a narration exploration sort of game. You also get to play... I wouldn't call them mini games because they're integral to the whole thing. Like, mini games are just kind of like side quests or whatever. But this is a game where you get to experience a lot of different types of gameplay. You get to do some platforming. You get to do some, text-based stuff. It's really dope. It's just like
There's so many mini games.
There's so many things in it that make it interesting. So there's a really great story behind the entire game. And then you get to experience so many different types of gameplay. It's always fresh and exciting to play. It's really interesting, and it's very emotional. So I fucking love What Remains of Edith Finch. I'm not going to spoil it because it's a great game, and I want everyone to buy it and purchase it. It won some awards. It's dope. Go check it out.
It's impactful as hell.
It is.
Like, you get different perspectives, you get stuff on mental illness, you get all these different things, just all packaged into one. And there are some mini games that just got me. Like,
yeah. It's just like, oh my god, I remember this. And it's like, it's cool.
I'm not going to spoil it either, but like the guy daydreaming one. There's a guy daydreaming. And
yes. Oh my god.
Will mess you up. Like...
100%.
It's so sad and happy, and it goes the range of emotions.
Yep.
What Remains of Edith Finch is truly incredible. I recommend it as well.
It's quite good. Quite good. All right, so what are your 3 favorite indie games?
All right, so the first one is probably going to come as a surprise. Okay. I mean, I haven't talked about it at all, ever.
Okay.
It's Getting Over It.
Oh! What a surprise, Jessica. What a surprise. Joe's been like, hey, do you want to play Getting Over It with Benefati with me? And I was like, I'll watch you play it, but I'm going to get too anxious. And I like watching you play it because you're very chill about it. But I know that Joe is known for raging. Like, he's known for it. He's played Cuphead with me on stream, and people have seen him break down, like, literally tear down my green screen in anger. And it's like, dude, calm down. But you're Cuphead. He's losing his head, indeed. But yeah, you are just so chill about it. You're just so chill and laid back.
It was like a spiritual experience for me. So I thought about this game a lot, and I have thought about it since then. And I was, when we started making this list, I was like, what would be my top?
That you can't get over getting over it?
I can't get over it, ironically.
All right.
So there's a Nietzsche quote that I really like, and I think it's basically the game. So I wrote it down so that I wouldn't screw it up.
Oh.
It's, in the mountains of truth you will never climb in vain. Either you will get up higher today, or you will exercise your strength so as to be able to get up higher tomorrow.
Aww.
And that is essentially getting over it. So to me, like a lot of people, and I'm sure Joe may be one of these people, it's a very angry experience. It's kind of like, oh, I gotta do this because it's a tough game. It's a Dark Souls of climbing over chairs and beds that are in weird angles.
I like when people like compare everything to Dark Souls. Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's basically what everyone does.
But yeah,
it's not. But it's the current thing to do.
Yeah,
everyone understands Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. It's hard, y'all.
Doug, it's like the Dark Souls of teenage cartoons. But the story, like the concept of getting over it, is simple as hell. You're Diogenes, man trapped in a pot who's wielding a Yosemite hammer, and he is just climbing over random shit, which I think might be Diogenes was a philosopher, and he forsook everything. Like, he got rid of all of his stuff.
Yep.
And so you're kind of climbing over all of this material objects to get rid of it. There's a lot of philosophical concepts that go throughout the game, but the main thing was it extremely helps me with my anxiety. There's something about it where visually being able to see, like, this section was extremely difficult. And then you'll fall back down to the very beginning of the game and lose hours of progress.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, well, it's cool. I can do this faster this time. There's something about that.
Oh, that's 100%
that I cannot do in my
Dark
life.
Souls. That's literally Dark Souls. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only, like, you just need patience. That's literally Dark Souls. So your thing wasn't just because Dark Souls is challenging. Dark Souls is literally only challenging because you require patience and you need to learn. You just have to learn.
That I do.
And that's it.
You're back at this bonfire. Now you have to get up and fight through this area. But now you know the tools that you need or the way to dodge this.
And you know what to expect, and you know what's going to happen, and you know the people's attacks. And so it's like, okay, these people do these 3 moves, and that's it. And
so throughout the thing,
that's cool.
And I know, like, there have been so many of my friends who have just hated this, but Bennett Foddy will read you quotes, and he will read you things. He'll talk to you throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll climb and you'll climb and you'll climb, and he'll tell you something about materialism, and then you will fall down to the very bottom, and he will quote something. And one of my favorite was, he'll basically quote you Mary Pickford, and she says that this thing we call failure is not the falling down, it's the staying down, which is the Chumbawamba theory. Yep. Like, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Oh, and that's the whole game. Like, I really, it's an extremely inspirational game. Yeah. That game means the world to me. Like, I love it. I think it's super chill. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but if you like that kind of, if you like getting lost in games and seeing progress over time, if you like Dark Souls, that kind of stuff, you would actually enjoy it, because it is that kind of thing of patience and learning something and then seeing you being able to enact the thing you just learned. Yeah. It's real good.
That is really cool.
The second one is Her Story.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't pick that for one of the games. Oh, but it is.
I thought you might. I was sitting there just waiting for it. I was like, is she gonna do it?
That is a great game, though. It's just, oh God, it's so good.
It's such a good game. Like, there's so many things to say about it. It's one of those games where it's like he takes a concept. It's kind of like an FMV, but not quite. It's extremely realistic, and it's extremely well done. So
it's really the story.
Yeah. So for those that don't know the story, basically Her Story is about you're sitting in a police station looking through their database of clips of a woman who was interviewed in, I think it's 1997, 7 times by the police over the disappearance of her husband. Yep. And what you do is you sit there and you just research different tags and queries from the clips.
Yep. You're literally
to find more clips.
Yep. You're sitting there and writing down, like, things that they say. So, like, maybe city names or themes or feelings or actions or anything, and then just searching those. And it's
even like the most
dope,
just the minutest thing, like she'll ask for coffee, you can search coffee and then you can get a clip,
and you can
like
see,
there's all these
things. And it just takes you through like a wide range of like feelings, and like at first you're like feeling confusion and then shock and then anger, and it's just confusion again, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
You're all together, and then at the end, the ending is just, it's great. And the thing is, the ending, everyone can get to it differently because it depends on how your research style is.
Yep, for sure.
Like, I had an entire notebook, and I would like watch the clips and write down the stuff. I did too. Yes! And then I also played the like little mini game that's on the computer, so I like 100%.
Oh my god, such fun! We're detectives.
We are detectives. Nancy Drew and the Nancy Drew, double Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
I love it. Go play Her Story if you haven't. It's
100%.
Freaking amazing.
Also a game that has won plenty of awards. Fantastic game.
And rightfully so. I'm so excited for his next one, Telling Lies. I can't. There's going to be a political intrigue. It's supposed to be Sam Barlow has said it's going to be the spiritual successor to Her Story. And it's going to be like a political intrigue thriller. And it's got a good cast. Like, he has got some major people. I'm so excited. It was supposed to come out this year, and he pushed it back because he's working on it. And I'm like, boo, you do you. Like, I'm so
100%.
Oh, I love it. Anyway, The third one is one that's very well known. You're gonna know it. Everybody's gonna know it. It's Stanley Parable. I just love the Stanley Parable.
Oh, I love
A
Stanley
very
Parable.
walking sim. I know we both love
I
the other game
prefer the
that's similar to,
beginner's
which is
guide.
Beginner's
I
Guide.
love I
Yeah,
love Stanley Parable, but I prefer the beginner's guide.
I
Um,
flopped back and forth between whether to put the Beginner's Guide or Stanley Parable
I
as my
know.
third because I
So
love both of
hard.
them.
Yeah.
The only reason Stanley Parable one was just the humor in the darkness.
Yeah.
I like that kind of thing of like finding funny stuff in sad situations is my
I
jam.
think that
So I
is
really enjoyed
a
that.
huge staple of people of this generation. I think
Yeah.
being able to find humor in the dark places and being able to treat bad situations with a lighthearted comedy is something that helps us deal with like millennialism is what I like to call it because we got
Yeah.
a lot of problems that we have to fucking fix that we didn't create. So it's just like I really love the Stanley Parable. And like you said, oh my gosh, the only reason why I prefer the beginner's guide is actually because the story in it relates solely to my first serious relationship. And it's just like
Oh.
I almost cried on stream when I first played it the very first time because I was like, holy, because it's so unexpected and you don't really know what's going to happen, but then it happens and you're like, fuck me up, bitch. Like, I feel this to my core. And I was like sitting there on stream and you can tell like I was like talking, like, oh my gosh, I love this game so much.
Yeah.
And then you walk into that one room where it's like, you need to stop. And it's like, oh, bitch.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
remember like I was also streaming it and I like the ending I didn't talk much during because I really got into it.
yeah.
Like it's so impactful. The one of my favorite memories of it though was I was playing it and there's that room filled with notes
Yes, yes.
and somebody came in and they were like, "Oh, what's this game about?" And I was like, "Oh my god, it's thought provoking." I'm like talking about how deep and beautiful and wonderful and thought provoking it is and all this stuff. And I picked up a note and it just said butt ass butt, and I laughed. I'm cackled like a ghoul. I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like I'm sitting here telling you how deep and thought provoking this fucking game is, and all you see is butt ass butt. Like you think I'm crazy. And apparently one of my friends, they were at a game developers conference and they saw Davey Reedon, who'd made the game, and they ran up to him and they were like, watch this. Like, and he apparently laughed and said it was
You know
really
what?
funny. I was like,
That's a dream
I made it.
of mine to meet him. Ugh. Ugh. I just want to meet him. It's fine.
I would
One day
love
I'll
to,
go to
like,
GDC.
Daniel Mullins, who made the Hex and Pony Island, I'd love to meet, and I'd love to meet Benefati.
Oh,
Like, I
of
like to
course,
just give
yeah.
Benefati a hug.
Yeah.
Not in a creepy way. I just like to be
Just
like,
thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Yeah, for sure.
The thing is, like, with Getting Over It, I tweeted out how much it meant to me, and he liked it. He was the first person to like it. I'm like, Benefati, you're a
That's
fucking
really
gem.
sweet.
Like,
That's really, really sweet. That's awesome.
Benefati is a gem of a human.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for him
But yeah,
to exist
Stanley
in our world.
Parable has so many like hidden things in it too, which is really like something that's it makes you feel special when you find something that's hidden and it's really
Yeah.
like, oh, did someone else find this? And it's like, you know,
It's a
butt ass
discovery.
butt is a very rare find, okay? And
Yeah.
so it just makes you feel good when you find the butt ass butts of games. So
Yeah, that's the peak.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've made it.
absolutely. So
You're finding a high by finding a low.
do you have some
right.
honorable mentions of games that you really enjoy?
I probably do.
Yeah.
There are so many that I've loved recently, but I don't know. I could go. The Hex and Pony Island, definitely.
Pony Island, yeah.
Mm.
I have never actually played the game that I want to mention, but I just wanted to say the last time I actually cried at a game is when I was watching someone else play Undertale. And Undertale is super popular now, and I wouldn't consider them
Yeah.
to be indie games anymore. Hopefully, Toby Fox has a fucking publisher. I would hope so. He works his ass off. But I think Undertale, the story of it makes me cry because I get super choked up at family things. When families are broken up or when families fight and then they they just resolve their issues. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna fucking cry now. Thanks, y'all. I'm just gonna cry. It's fine. So that's a good game.
Definitely for honorable mentions, I would say the Rusty Lake series.
Oh, that's
near and
such
dear
a
to my heart.
fun, interesting set of games.
Like, it's the puzzles are good.
Yeah.
The story's really engaging. You know, it follows a family through all their supernatural affairs over years and years of time.
Mm-hmm.
It deals a lot with the soul and, like, the body versus the mind. There's a lot of deep things in a bunch of just mobile and, like, $2 games on Steam.
Yep.
Which you would not expect.
For sure.
And the art style is just fascinating me. I love it.
Yeah,
like,
it's a cute art style. I like it a lot.
I really adore it. It's one of those, like, cute but terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, there are these gross things happening. People are, like, getting shit cut off, but, like, it's in this almost happy, like, vivid colored style.
Yeah.
I dig that series a lot. That would be one of my faves.
Yeah, I enjoy too. I haven't beaten as much as you have, but it's very enjoyable to me.
Yeah, I've played all of them. They're really good.
You're a master. You're a master of mystery. You're a mistress of mystery.
I like puzzles. I'm bad at them most of the time, but I typically try to finish most of the puzzle games I have. Like, The Witness is another honorable mention for me.
Bitch, yes.
Like,
I played that with my husband.
I haven't
fuck yes.
finished it yet, but that's one of those games, kind of like Getting Over It, where I play it over time. So late at night, if I'm feeling like I really want a chill puzzle game, I'll put it on and I'll do a couple.
So, highly recommend to you the Talos Principle. If you enjoy The Witness,
yes.
Talos Principle all the way. It's got The Witness doesn't really have any anything except for like the philosophical sort of like ruminations on those little tapes or whatever that you can find lying around. But there's more of a story to the Talos Principle. So there's like actually, it's really interesting. It's very meta, so I don't want to ruin it for you. It's very meta. It's very interesting. So is The Witness. Oh my god, now that I'm thinking about it, they're both very meta. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoy it once you've beaten it. It's very interesting.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. There's another one, the Turing Test. Have you ever played that?
Yes.
It's really good.
Yep.
I like that one a lot.
I like that one too. So next,
honestly, we could just go on for days.
Oh, I know.
Because I love indie games. So it's my jam.
I have picked 3 that I don't think that you know, but you probably do know.
Yes.
But it's fine.
Hit me with them.
I'm gonna go from most likely of you hearing them to least likely. So the first one is Return of Obra Dinn.
Yes.
Oh my god. Have you played it?
It was on my wish list, and then I watched you play a couple minutes of it. It looks amazing. Yeah. Like, I really, really want it.
It's so, oh my god, it's so good. It's very, oh my god, like the end is really, you have to sit there and you have to actually use deductive reasoning. Like, you are in the trenches saying, okay, how can I create process of elimination? Because there's certain people that you will not figure out who was who unless you essentially Return of Obra Dinn is where you are an insurance agent. Ooh, hooray! And you're
what I've always wanted to be.
Yeah, right? And so, but you're an insurance agent that's having to go and adjust and figure out how much money you should pay out to this crew of people that have died. So you're paying out essentially to their families because they were all employed by the Obra Dinn. And the Obra Dinn is a trade ship that went across the sea. It took like a very long voyage, and then it never returned. It was lost for 3 years. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, it comes back to harbor, exactly where it left. And it returns to the Falmouth Harbor. And you are sent to it to essentially figure out what the fuck happened so you can deduce whether or not people should be paid what they're owed. And you have a special, like, pocket watch that allows you to see the death of people. So you get to watch people die, essentially. It's absolutely batshit insane. But if I were
Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah, essentially, if you were like a wizard insurance agent, that's what this game is. And you just have to figure out how everyone died and exactly what the fuck went wrong. And it's so fucking crazy because so many different things happen. Like, at first it's normal. At first it's like, oh, okay, this one guy just got smushed by some loose equipment that happened to roll on top of him. Well, that sucks. But then it, like, just evolves into some crazy shit, and you're like, what the fuck? So, also, I'd like to say, the art style of it is fucking amazing. It's a pixel style game. Very interesting, very beautiful in its own way. And the dialogue is so good. So it's really great. But
I'm going to have to bump it up my list of things to play.
It's so good. It won.
That's all stuff I enjoy.
It won Best Narrative Game last year at the Game Awards for 2018. Really beautiful game. So number 2, I don't know if you'll know this one. You might. It's called Graveyard Keeper. Have you heard of it? By Tiny Build?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's basically Stardew Valley, but you're a graveyard keeper, like...
in my opinion, it's got a better story than Graveyard Valley. Or Graveyard Valley. Listen to me!
Graveyard Valley. He just made a new game. He just made a new game called Graveyard Valley. I want it to be like a zombie high school. Graveyard Valley High.
I was thinking of just going through different graveyards and rating them and telling them how they can improve. It's just like the valley where everyone has to get buried because of some sort of, like, ordinance or whatever.
Like, I still can't get any rest without people judging me.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Digging me up like, you still have some high hips there, I see.
Yeah. Graveyard Keeper is definitely a better story than Stardew Valley. Also, the ending to Graveyard Keeper is much more finite. Like, Stardew Valley can kind of keep going on. I think, honestly, that Graveyard Keeper is better than Stardew Valley. Fatigue happens a lot less often. The people are a lot more chill in it, and, like, quests and stuff, they don't have a timer. Like, I always used to get anxious if I accepted a quest in Stardew Valley because it was like, oh, is due in 3 days. And it was like, bitch, 3 days is not a lot of time. So
because you get so winded. Yeah. Like, for a farmer, you get winded really easily in Stardew Valley.
It's like, I should be able to sprint for more than 4 seconds, okay?
The fishing in Stardew Valley gave me a panic attack. I just can't deal with it.
I put a mod on, so, like, I never got treasures, but I always caught the fish.
Yeah. It was just there were too many things that were asked of me in Stardew Valley. So if it's a little bit of a chiller Stardew Valley type game,
you would enjoy Graveyard Keeper also.
I do like ominous things.
It's ominous. You can also use zombies as cheap labor, which I'm not for. I just want to point that out. It's a video game, so it's not real, okay? So I just want you to know it does not reflect my opinion of zombie labor.
It doesn't reflect. I feel like we may have to research your past now. I'm going to be having to post some exposés.
You're going to have to go through my save file of Graveyard Keeper. How many zombies does she employ? What are their working conditions like? Okay.
She's got a zombie sweatshop here, guys. All right.
That's essentially what you can have, though. It's pretty dope. It's pretty great. So you can have zombies, like, do your work for you. Like, why wouldn't you, right? It's just like having a husband, but you don't have to do anything. There's that. This story is really cool. There's really interesting things that go on. The humor, the comedy is what I think you would really enjoy, Jess. Like, there are a lot of sarcastic bitches in it. The Pope, or I'm sorry, the deacon, I guess his name, he's a deacon, I guess that's his title. There's a deacon, and he comes and visits your church that you're in charge of, and, like, your sermons that you can give are also fucking hilarious. And it's just great. It's just fantastic. I just adore it. You can do research. It's like all your librarian dreams come true, Jess. But you can also be a preacher of the church, and you can make it look however you want. It's pretty dope. It's pretty cool.
Question.
Yeah.
Can I make a cult?
That's a good question, but I don't want to spoil the game for you.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
You can paint pentacles in blood on the floor, so that's cool. Whether those summon demons or not is up to you, Jessica.
Well, I'm assuming if you're making a pentacle on the floor, you're probably trying to summon a demon. Not just like, oh, look, it's a bunch of tiny terrier puppies. Like, all the time, that's not what you're saying.
You know.
Just this is how I'm going to get Starbucks delivered.
Sometimes, Jessica, that's just your aesthetic, okay? Sometimes that's just your aesthetic goals.
Yeah, you've seen clearly some pictures of 16-year-old Jess.
So I would highly recommend Graveyard Keeper. It's a lot more chill than Stardew Valley, and it's just cool. You can still combat. You can still do combat stuff, and there's a dungeon, not necessarily a mine. There's a lot less fetching, which is what I like.
Oh my god! Thank Jesus.
There's a few quests where like you can. You'll need to like gather ingredients, but mostly the only time that you're gathering ingredients and stuff is for recipes, for things that you want to build. So like you won't need to necessarily do a lot of the whole like, go fetch me this before I talk to you, or go fetch me this. It's mostly like, oh, you want to talk to them, you can ask them some questions, and then you can build your relationship with them, but maybe that's just completing something for them, like going and talking to this other person.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and so
like Stardew Valley, I was like, if I wanted to know the life of a personal assistant that also works as a farmer
every day,
like, oh, and then I'm like trying to romance. I think his name was Harvey or something.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of a douche, but I liked him, so I was like, hey, let's do this. Yeah. So I give him something, like I give him a flower, and I guess it was the wrong type of flower because he's like, this is terrible. Like, get me something else. And I'm like, what in the world is this game? Like, I couldn't do it.
Ugh, that's funny. That's so funny.
So I will check out Graveyard Keeper. I had zero interest in it before this, but I will put it on my list.
So my last recommendation. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's called West of Loathing.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. It's that Western stick figure game. Yeah. I've been wanting that too.
Okay, good.
It was hilarious.
It is absolutely hysterical. It is charming and funny, and I think it's like legitimately up your alley. Like, it is so good. And there is a lot of repetition in having to fight things. Like, there's not really a lot of grinding. You don't need to fight things constantly. But as long as you never run from a fight while you're trying to get somewhere, you should be fine. Like, you don't ever need to go out and like go to the overworld map and like fight things just for fun. You just need to like go from one place to the next, and if there's a fight that happens, there's a fight that happens, and they're very quick. You can even put it on auto fight if you don't want to fight things, like it's pretty cool. But it's really dope because it's just funny, and like the whole thing is it's also near and dear to my heart because this game is derived from the website Kingdom of Loathing, and that was and still is functioning as a website where you can go and play a Renaissance or a medieval sort of game in the similar vein. It's a lot shittier because it's all text, so you have to like type in what you want to do, which is annoying. But it's still cute. And it's still got the charm and the humor of West of Loathing. And so it's just, oh my god, it's so good. I hope they make another game. But it's got so many side quests and stuff, and it's just fun, and you don't have to play it with anyone, and it's just a hilarious game. So that's my last recommendation, but it's dope. I'm so glad you heard of it.
That makes me excited.
It's really good.
Like, I looked at it, and I was like, this looks like South Park and the Stick of Truth, which I loved. Yeah. Like, it was really, like, deconstructing RPG games, and then it was like, this kind of looks like that, and I added it, and I've been thinking about getting it for ages. But that's a problem with indie games. It's like, I see all these indie games, like, guarantee you most of the indie games I will know about, but I don't have enough money ever to buy all of them and play all of them.
I know, it's so fucking frustrating.
I have to like look away every time there's a Steam sale. It's like deep breaths.
You know how some people like sit there and they look at their Steam library and they're like, oh my god, I don't have anything to play, and they have like 500 fucking games. I am the opposite of that. I have like 400 games, and I have beaten 120 of them.
And the thing is,
15 of them are games that you can't beat. Like they're survival games where they don't really have an ending. Like 7 Days to Die doesn't really have a quote unquote ending. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
Don't Starve Together is a game that you can't beat. Which Don't Starve by Clay Entertainment, also a great indie game. Highly recommended. It's funny, I wanted to talk to Jess if you want to talk about your reviews regarding indie games.
Oh yeah.
I haven't told you about this, but I actually used to get paid to be a game reviewer, and
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I worked for a website, and I was like in charge of their indie games. And they wanted me to focus on games that they didn't want me to do games that didn't have female characters in them, and I completely understood it because it was a feminist website, which is fine. But it was like Don't Starve was the first survival game that I got into the beta for because I was a game reviewer. And I played that fucking game for 40 hours before I wrote that review. I was like, holy shit, I need to actually like stop and write how much I love this game because otherwise I'm just going to keep playing it. But great game. But yeah, so okay.
Like,
I love your reviews. I love them.
Oh,
I like them.
Thank you.
If you guys didn't know, Jess has a blog. What is it called?
Yes.
Is it Just Playin?
Justplayin.wordpress.com. It's just a WordPress little blog that I do. I enjoy writing.
.wordpress.blog.
.com.
.blog.com?
.com. Just .com.
Oh, justplayin.wordpress.com.
.wordpress.com.
Okay.
It's just a little WordPress blog.
Okay.
That's like, the thing is, because I have the very, very basic plan, because I am poor. They don't let you have a nice domain, so it's very long. It's very long-winded. It's a journey, and I promise you it's worth it.
It's a journey. You have to type in several characters to get there, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's like a Mavis Beacon teaches typing demo. Like, and then at the end, you get blogs by me. Which, I just found out that, like, I was wondering for days why there was one blog that I'd written that was, like, stuck to my main page. And I just figured out that I had clicked accidentally featured post on it. Oh, so we're learning together, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I write reviews of the games that I play on stream predominantly. Sometimes I'll do analysis of games that I've played. I'm getting more into that. Like I did a thing on Simulacra, which was an indie game that I actually really, really loved. But I kind of talked about how it deals with internet personas.
Wait, do you love it so much?
So much! I love it so much! The voice acting in that game is truly terrible, but
it is so terrible, but
genuinely, like, it's such a good game, and it's so spoiled by the voice acting, but whatever. It's spoiled and enhanced, really, because
it's both.
I love Fred Summers.
It's both at the same time.
But yeah, I'll put little pictures of myself playing the game, and I typically try. It's kind of started to force me to try to finish games on stream as well, because I want to have a full experience of the game before I write about it.
For sure.
There are some that I will not, but yeah, I write about them. I teach a little bit about it. Sometimes if there's an analysis, I'll typically let people know, hey, I'm going to be spoiling some stuff because I want to go deeper into this one.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I've also been doing demos.
Do you have like a score? Like, what are some things that you look for, or is it just how you feel about the game? Like, is there...
I typically do, at the end of a review, I'll do a pros and cons list.
Okay.
And then I'll rank it out of 10.
Gotcha.
Should do 5 out of 7, but...
5 out of 7. People...
But I try to break it down. I feel like games, in a way, story, gameplay, mechanics, art, audio, and then any miscellaneous stuff. So I try to look at those 4 categories, and then a 5th.
That's absolutely what I do.
Replayability is what I fall into that 5th category.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous things.
Yeah.
But like, I'll do, great art style, great characters, good gameplay, but the cons were that the puzzles aren't challenging, there's no replay value, like, I wish that there was this.
Yeah, for sure.
So basically, I write it all out, and then I do kind of a TLDR at the end. Like, too long, didn't read it, here's kind of the main points.
Yep.
Link it to Steam.
That's cool.
I just like to try and hit all the main things.
Yeah. That's
And I'll also get really bougie and, like, post philosophical quotes in the middle of my reviews, because I like that kind of stuff.
So for you,
just like random.
What's the most important thing for you when you're playing a game for it to be enjoyable?
Story.
Story. Yeah, me too. This
To
same
me,
game.
and I'm good. I think it's next Sunday. I try to release blogs on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Cool.
So this upcoming Sunday, it's going to be Rain Swept, which is a game I recently played, and that was one of those things where it was supposed to be a detective point and click, and the art style was phenomenal. The audio is really good,
Yeah.
but when you get into it, it's very heavily. It's almost a visual novel, really. Like
Right.
it's not really a point and click. They kind of there's so much dialogue, and every single area is just the same stuff. Look at your journal, go interrogate a couple people,
Mm-hmm.
look around and see if there are any clues, go to another place, rinse and repeat.
Right.
But the story is so focused on the story,
Yeah.
and the story gets terrible. Like it's so
Oh.
rushed at the end. Every single person has a tragic backstory.
Oh,
It's like a
no.
CW drama
Man,
and a Lifetime
pain.
movie made a baby.
Oh god.
Like,
Oh, you said
like
Lifetime
every single
movie.
person.
Oh,
I am not
Jesus.
kidding you, lady. It's like the main character, the side character, the guy at the coffee shop,
Oh,
the
God.
bar owner,
Oh,
grandpa,
God.
Jimmy on the street, fucking random person over here in a car has a tragic backstory. And it felt like these are dark subjects, and they're dark subjects that need to be talked about,
Right.
but not in this way. It feels like it's just trying to pander for more positive reviews because they touched on deep subjects.
Right.
That game made me mad. So I wrote a really long review of it. That one's more scathing than
That's
a lot
okay.
of my reviews.
You know what? I think sometimes people need scathing reviews.
But that is what when I talk about like a story is important to me, as like this was riddled with plot holes. It felt like it was just pandering. Like,
You know what?
it just was.
Now that you've talked about a game you dislike, I'd like to mention a
Oh,
game
now it's time.
I dislike.
I'm ready.
Now that you've
I'm
triggered my
emotionally
trap
ready.
card, it's
Did your hair just become spiky and like frosted tips? And...
I feel much more Egyptian right now.
I know you two, like, we know each other too well now because I can't even fake surprise. Like, oh, what game?
Oh, what? No.
I didn't expect this at all.
Oh, how surprising. I fucking hate. Oh, God. There's this game called That Dragon Cancer, which took almost 5 years of development. I am not going to go too far into detail because I've forgotten most of the details. Okay, so
Hold up.
Okay, yes.
So it took 5 years to develop. Was that because they didn't catch it in time? It was like they didn't notice it was developing, and then they looked over and
They were like, "Oh shit, stage
Right.
4." Oh, we're making
stage
fancy
4
jokes
game
now.
development.
I don't know if this is appropriate. It's fine. I feel uncomfortable, but also entertained.
don't. That's, oh my god, that's like my review. Can I put that on a business card? I feel uncomfortable and entertained.
Oh, that's how.
It's like that SNL thing where there was a thing of Weekend Update, and it's a GIF which you can find. But one of the guys on Weekend Update was like, "I feel scared and horny."
Oh,
Like,
Scared
that's how
boners are
it
a
is.
thing.
Uncomfortable and entertained is my brand. Sorry, continue.
No, it's on brand. I mean, it's good. It's all good. So, okay. It did take a very long time. It took a very, very long time, and a lot of people were really excited about this game, including myself. But I'm about to go hard in the paint right now. I'm not gonna hold back just because it's a story about cancer, because cancer sucks, and we all know that cancer sucks, and no one should have cancer, and it just blows.
No one's like arguing the
Yeah.
No one's on a pro cancer stance.
Yeah, we're not all pro cancer. If you are, you're sick fuck. Go away.
Yeah.
So That Dragon Cancer is not a game. I would argue to say that it's a terrible mockery of a game. It's like 3 children dressed in a trench coat pretending to be a game when it's actually just a movie that's terribly animated. So That Dragon Cancer is about a child that gets cancer and then subsequently dies. I'm going to spoil this entire thing for you because I do not want you to purchase it. So just right out the bat, if you like going to funerals, you can pay $14.99 on Steam and go to a child's funeral if that will make you happy. Enjoy it as much as you'd like. So The reason why I argue that it's not a game is because, just like you said with Rainswept, it was very focused. But this is even more focused. You don't have choice in the game. You literally don't have choice. They're forcing you to do things that will not change anything. You don't get to choose any of the dialogue. You don't get to ask questions. You don't get to do anything. Literally, you walk around and you listen to your child. I'll just give you the beginning of the game. The beginning of the game is you're in your house. Your child begins to cry. You get up out of a chair. Like, you don't even control that you get out of the chair. You get out of the chair. You walk to your child's room and you hold them. The child does not stop crying. You just keep holding it until 5 minutes are over, and then you go to the next scene.
Oh my God.
That's it. It does not matter, and the scene does not end sooner if you pick up the child. It doesn't change anything. Nothing changes anything, so you don't even have to really go get the child. The scene will change in 5 minutes, no matter what you do. And nothing changes. So there's absolutely no choice in the game. The only thing that you can do is walk around and press A to hold your child or do whatever simple task is laid before you. There's no actual gameplay. And no matter what you choose to do, it doesn't change anything and it doesn't influence the game in any way. So it literally, I don't think that it's a game. I think that you get to explore an environment that doesn't have anything to offer. Nothing triggers. That's how I kind of, from like a game designer point, like from that sort of stance, if your actions don't trigger something, it's not a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
that makes perfect sense. Like, you reminded me, there was and I think we should talk about this in more depth too, particularly with like FMVs, I think would be a good one to discuss.
Right.
Because I played it was supposed to be a 5-minute game called September 1999. Okay. And it was a horror game where you're essentially trapped in a house and there's a killer coming. You're investigating a crime scene and then it escalates.
Right.
And the guy that developed it got real mad because a lot of people were basically like, this isn't a game. Because there was no choice.
Yeah.
There were no choices. All I could control was basically walking forward and backward. That was it.
Wow.
And it just, no, you've made a short film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, in this case, it sounds like That Dragon Cancer, you've made a short animated film. You haven't made a game.
Yes, 100%. That's absolutely what it is. And for it to have taken 5 years, I understand the idea behind it. I understand that you don't have a choice in whether or not your loved one lives or dies. Like, everyone can do the best to their ability, and everything can still go wrong. I get that.
Yeah.
But it seems like, for me, it would have been a better use of your time and money that you made a movie about your child and made people feel more emotionally attached to it rather than annoyed. I feel like it was a poor choice of, oh, well, let's just have this child cry for 5 minutes so that you can feel the frustration that a parent feels, but you have no emotional attachment to those characters yet. So it doesn't give you all the emotions that you really would be feeling as a parent. So it's just like, I think his pain really, the guy, this was literally a video game to remind everyone that his child died. That's essentially what it was. And it's a poorly made video game. There's a couple other reasons why I really dislike the game as a whole. Number one, the price of it being $15. Another one being that it was really hyped up by everyone for 5 years and it's not a game.
Yeah.
And then also, there was this whole big, statement that they put out telling everyone to not stream it, and they weren't allowed to stream it because they wanted everyone to have to purchase the game so that they could make their money on it. And I was like...
That's actually why I never ended up getting it. Like, it was on my wish list, and then it just sat there.
Yeah. Because
I was like, that's not a decision that you can make. Yeah. Unfortunately, as a game developer. The changing thing is somebody's going to stream that, and if somebody's interested in your game, they're going to stop watching that most likely and then go buy your game.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
It's like Napster.
If you know
Like,
that you made a
you're
good
not
game,
losing out on a sale.
yeah, if you know that you made a good game and it's entertaining and it makes people feel a certain way, they're going to buy it whether or not they see someone else play it or not. Like,
Yeah.
in fact, streaming helps give exposure to your game, and it only helps you if your game is good. But your game wasn't good. Congratulations, you failed as a game designer. Okay? All right. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I hope if you play that Dragon Cancer, or if you did play that Dragon Cancer and you enjoyed it, good for you. Maybe you're a parent and that's why you feel that way. Because I don't think anyone that isn't a parent can feel those sorts of feelings until they are. And it just didn't replicate those feelings for me. And I don't think it was a very good game. I don't think it was a game in the simplest of ideas. And it's only, the other thing is it's only an hour long. It's only an hour. And
which again goes back to the price point.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, if you've got an hour-long game, you can't really be selling it at 15.
Like, you can go see a movie for $10, $12 tops, you know? Like, unless you go to a really, really nice one, then maybe you're paying $15. But no movies are only an hour long anymore. All of them are at least an hour and a half. You know, 90 minutes is pretty standard for a kid's movie. So you're still getting more value from a movie than you are from this game. And the game is more than a normal movie would typically cost. So that's where I was kind of disappointed with it, because I was really looking forward to it, and then it just ended up being terrible. And then the guy, you know, the creator, he was just really awful towards streamers. And I had just started streaming, and I was planning on, like, purchasing the game, because $15 isn't a lot to me. Like, I would willingly pay $15 for a game, even if I knew I could only play it once, even if it's only an hour long. If it was, you know, something that I was really invested in and had been following since the beginning, I would be like, okay, I'll play that. Yeah, I don't care that it's $15. It's good. I'm supporting something that I believe in.
It's one of those things, like, $15 would be a lot to me, and if I got, like, nothing for my money, like, it does factor in. It's unfortunate, but I have been harsher with games, because it's like, well, that's the only game I can buy for the next, you know, month.
For sure, yeah.
So
100%.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt about Rainswept. I bought it, and it was around $10-15, and it was a few hours long, but it was so bad. It was like, well, this is unfortunate.
No, I completely agree with you. It's definitely something that you got to keep in mind if you're, you know, if you have to be price conscious like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just really dislike that game. I'm sorry that I feel that way, but not really. I'm not that sorry.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. I just...
All right.
I would fight someone.
But just... Oh my god.
I would fight
probably
someone.
The creator of that journey.
No, because he's already gone through enough anguish. I don't want him to have to deal with me. You know what I mean.
That's nice.
I'm forgiving, but you made a shitty game, though. I will say that to your face. You shitty game. No disrespect to your son.
That Dragon Cancer will not hurt you anymore.
No, I know, right?
It's gone. The bad game is gone.
I mean, cancer is always here. It always reminds me.
That is true. That is always here. I don't know if that... I mean, I guess it made an impact on you. That's what you think about when you hear...
Yeah, it did. It certainly
I'm just really angry about this game.
Yeah. I get even more angry about cancer because I have to think of that shitty game. So I just want cancer.
Have you not heard us enough, Cancer?
Yeah. Have you not heard me enough? Oh my god, what if that was his whole idea all along?
Yeah, maybe that was. Maybe he made a shitty game to make you want to fight Cancer even more.
That has to be it. That's the only way.
Yeah, mind blown.
Redemption is afoot. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have. There's so many more. There's so many more indie games that I could talk about, but...
True. But you ready? You ready for the 3 I don't think you know? And then...
Yeah, I'm ready.
Bid each other adieu?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is A Mortician's Tale.
Oh, I do know that one.
Okay. So you basically probably know the idea. You get emails from clients. Mm-hmm. You basically get bodies, and then you do actual medical procedures on them. So you have to, like, clean the body, put, you know, the tubes to drain the blood in, do all these like mortician practices, and then
Do you know
after
what they
you're
do with the
done,
blood after they're done?
I used to, but I am
That's
spacing on
okay.
it.
That's okay. I wonder if they
But
make it
it's
into
something that
blood meal.
I think they just dispose of it. But
I would make it
I
into
need
blood
to I
meal.
need to look into that. I'm gonna look into that because now I'm curious,
I know.
and I'm always fascinated by that kind of stuff. But it's a really good game.
And
I played it a very
I've
long
seen
time
the
ago,
art
so I don't.
style too, and it's real cute.
Yeah, I want to replay it because I'm real fuzzy on some of the details.
Right.
But it was enjoyable. I definitely recommend it. The second one, and I'm sure you probably know this one too, is The Park.
The park, is that with the amusement park?
Yes.
With the
So
mom,
it's basically,
and the child runs
yeah,
away because he's a dumb motherfucker. Okay.
exactly. So you're basically trying to follow Caleb's voice. Like you're the mom in The Walking Dead. It's like, Carl, stay inside the house. Oh, Carl's gone. He's not in the house anymore. But you're entering this decrepit amusement park, and you're
Yeah.
basically following his voice. There are no enemies to battle. There are limited objects to pick up. But what it really got me is the atmosphere is really good, the sound's really good, and the story is actually engaging.
Do you love
It's a really
Hansel
good
and
psychological
Gretel?
horror
Is
game.
that your favorite fairy tale?
No.
No. Cool.
It's alright. I mean, I would go if there's candy.
I think The Park is an interesting. The ending confused me because I'm not sure. We can talk about this later, but I'm. If you've ever played The Park, let me know if you think it's a metaphorical thing and if it's like all in the main character's mind, or if you think it's like literal. You can at me on Twitter at Blossoming Sun because I'm real curious if you think The Park is a metaphorical game or a literal game.
I personally think it's symbolic.
You think so? You think it's like
Like,
all okay, all right? Because it's like that's
like
some
her
crazy shit that
neglect of her
happens,
son.
especially at
Like,
the end.
okay, so I think it's Casey Anthony. I think it's Casey Anthony the game kind of thing. But without
What? You think she killed her own
the
kid?
yeah, I genuinely do. Like I don't think that she has like I think she is remorseful, unlike Casey Anthony. But I think that it's one of those things where I genuinely think she murdered her kid, and then it's her dealing with that. I think it's basically Silent Hill 2, honestly.
Interesting.
Like Silent Hill 2 is all about James coming to terms with his demons over what he did.
Yeah.
I feel like The Park is the same.
God, Silent Hill 2 is so good. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
That's completely
I
off
love
base
that kind
of
of psychological.
Silent Hill 2 is the best Silent Hill, in my opinion. We're not going to debate or anything. Great game.
It's my favorite game of all time. But I really, The Park was one of those ones where it's like, this reminds me of it a lot because it's symbolic to me.
Yeah.
I think if you look at it symbolically and you think that she did that, then it's just her neglect.
Right.
And her remorse
for sure
has manifested as these hallucinations of her walking through essentially decrepit children's places. Like it's a loss of innocence.
Yeah.
Like the visuals are all this loss of innocence, loss of childlike spirit.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, so I dug it.
I like that.
And the final one is A Case of Distrust.
I have never heard of this.
Okay, so A Case of Distrust is a narrative mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It's a point and click.
Okay.
It's set in the 1920s in San Francisco.
Oh, bitch.
And you play Detective Malone? I think it's Detective Malone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a female detective. She is
she
trying to solve... No.
Oh, okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right.
I don't think it's ever mentioned.
No, it's fine.
But she's trying to solve a mystery. It's got some really good themes on like class and race issues and things. That period piece, really good period piece. Extremely historically accurate. But what really gets me, and you need to like look at the visuals of it, because it's Saul Bass inspired visuals, which I think you might be interested in because he did a lot of posters for Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's a really pretty game.
That's dope.
And it's super fun, and there's a lot of deductive reasoning that you have to use.
Hell yeah.
The story is real fast. It's a $15 game that feels like you get $15 worth and more. I personally really liked it a lot.
Case of Distrust. I'm going to write this down now.
I'll link it to you too when we're done.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Oh my god.
Like
I'm
Matthew
so
McConaughey.
pleased
All right,
that
all right.
you shared one with me that I didn't know what it was.
I tried.
So good. So good. Well, thank you for sharing those with me.
thank you for sharing yours with me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And thanks for yelling about that Dragon Cancer.
Fuck that game. I was gonna say fuck that bitch, but I decided not to.
Like you've made the game an actual thing, and it is a bitch.
It is a allegorical representation of
bitch.
A game that pretends to be a game, but it's not. So you know.
It also makes me super happy that we get to talk about the park, because I like talking about games that have confusing endings.
Oh, the park is like so interesting, and the ending, like right before the ending. Okay, so I have played the park, but I haven't played it on my computer, so that's probably
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like,
so
I was like, maybe you watch someone, because I legit so. Spoiler alert, guys! Both of us ended up looking at each other's Steam libraries and trying
that's how you do.
We didn't own.
Yeah.
So yeah, I looked it up and I'm like, well, she doesn't own it, but it was pretty popular when it came out.
It was very popular, and I actually didn't get to. I watched someone else play the full game because I only had the beta or whatever was the early access, which was very different and very shitty compared to the full game. Like the original. Because when I originally played the park with my friend, it was only like 30 minutes long, legitimately.
That's how it was with me and Layers of Fear. Like the first time I played Layers of Fear, it was like a demo.
Oh my god, that's
so I ended up playing like 30, 40 minutes of it.
Game.
Yeah, I do love Layers of Fear. It's real good. And in the park and Layers of Fear, I feel like they're both in a similar vein.
Layers of Fear is very relatable to me as a person that is also an artist and worries about mental deficiencies and problems like that, and just like, bitch, it is spooky. It's spooky.
Yeah, I'm real excited for Layers of Fear too.
Oh yeah,
I'm so excited.
Oh my god, yeah. But cool. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Heck yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.